Josh here, and this is my review of the movie The Book of Eli by the Hughes Brothers, who you may remember of doing the movie From Hell with Johnny Depp quite a while back. They don't make a ton of movies, but what they do make is pretty good. The Book of Eli definitely follows suit. To best describe this movie, I would call it a post-apocalyptic western, and I think that's really suiting, because the story is a mixture between an action movie, The Road, if you've seen it, and, like I said, a western. Stranger a few words comes into town, has to deal with the bad dude that has him and his goonies and rule over the town because he controls resources that the town needs. They even have a shootout, high noon almost. So it really definitely follows that suit, and this is a movie where I'm actually kind of surprised at, to be honest, because I see that as soon as I saw the first trailer for us, it said The Book of Eli, and I said to myself, it's the fucking Bible. And you know what? If there's one thing I cannot stand in movies over product placement or anything like that, it is Bible pushing. That really infuriates me. The Chronicles of Narnia get to me like that. Even though I do like the Chronicles of Narnia, it does really kind of bother me. So in that light, I was really, really appreciative and greatly surprised that this movie does not attempt to do that. It does have the Bible in it, and that's not really a spoiler because it's in the trailer. And it does play a prominent role, spirituality that is, but it is not necessarily religious spirituality. It's more just belief. So faith, I suppose, would be the pertinent word here. Regardless, getting into it, basically, a man named Eli, or who we at least presume is named Eli, played by Denzel Washington, wanders through the post-apocalyptic wasteland 30 years after The Flash, which is a vaguely explained catastrophic event that torched the earth, and he is carrying a Bible, the last Bible in existence, to the West, and of course meets along the way quite a few different characters, the post-apocalyptic standards of evil biker gangs, cannibals, but also to Gary Oldman, who is the main villain of the movie, and his kind of plan to get a Bible and use its power over people who are unfamiliar with the text to try and rule over more than one little town, because he doesn't have enough goonies for more than that. Anyway, I actually was not sure about the movie. It's a very muted color palette. Normally I don't like that. I thought it was really depressing in The Road, and appropriately so for that movie, but I think it works much better here, especially because the very monochromatic kind of white, yellow, and grays and browns for clothing really brought out the Western vibe of this movie, and I really like how it mixed the samurai movie with the Western movie. There was shootouts, there was lots of gunfire, but there was also the sword play. And for a movie that does contain very heavy religious themes, I did not feel preached upon, and actually I thought they enhanced the story, because I really like the idea of one of the poster's taglines, religion as power, or religion is power as a tagline, but besides the point, purposes of the review, I'll change it. And I really think it's an interesting concept, and obviously been portrayed before in other movies, but at the same time, it does make for an interesting backdrop, and I think the starkness of the landscape not only enforces the apocalypse, but also the danger that is imposing upon Eli. Now, this movie has some good action scenes, it's got a lot of good dramatic scenes, and actually a fairly good twist ending. Not a huge M. Night Shyamalan twist, but definitely a good twist that you probably won't see coming. Some people may be divided on it, but I found it perfectly acceptable, considering the fantasy western vibe of this movie. I won't say any more about it. So, how was the acting? Denzel Washington, fantastic as an action hero. Ever since I've seen him saw him on Man on Fire. I'm sorry guys, I can't talk tonight it seems. He has been an action hero to me. Definitely he can play other roles. He's a fantastic actor, don't get me wrong, but he really does well in these roles and does so appropriately so here. And Gary Oldman as the villain was great, really slimy, really kind of down and dirty villain, like old classical villain who commands his goons around, and really a refreshing change of pace. He eats a lot of the scenery, what's left of it at least, but is really entertaining to watch, definitely. And the rest of the supporting characters, done well. Mila Kunis portrays her role well enough. Kind of constrained by her character to act too much, but does a good job for what she's given. Now, as for the effects in this movie, not a whole lot of them. The movie did cost $80 million, so it's not a cheap movie. It definitely portrays the look off well. There's really not a whole lot of like really big flash bang effects that you'd notice in action movies nowadays, but there was a lot of great practical effects. It really felt like an apocalyptic desert wasteland. You really got, like I said, the stark contrast of all the sand constantly blowing about. Everyone's wearing these goggles or some kind of glasses to keep it out of their eyes. And the costuming was really good. Nice mix of the old school Western vibe and the modern vibe that you would get from the post-apocalypse, as well as the kind of stereotypical post-apocalypse with big heavy bundled jackets, dreadlocks, and whatnot. So overall, this movie, it is a lot of fun, I must say. I was not offended by it. I was not preached to, which I really appreciate, as I've said multiple times before, but I can't say it enough. The ending did not feel like a cop-out, despite it being somewhat of a twist, and it was great action scenes and some good scenes of comedy therein. Only other two things I wanted to mention, actually, was the music. The score, while I would never listen to it outside of this movie, actually really grew on me. First couple minutes, I hated it, frankly. But yeah, it really grew on me. Very stark, very odd, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's kind of almost inexplicable. You have to listen to it for yourself. Otherwise, I did want to mention that there is one point later in the movie, in the last quarter, I guess, where Denzel Washington meets this couple people, and again, without spoiling too much, I do think maybe the tone of that scene was a little too upbeat considering the starkness and the seriousness of the rest of the movie. But otherwise, I really don't have many complaints. For a January movie, this is absolutely fantastic. I can't believe that they actually released something decent in January at all. And I guess that's relegated to Extraordinary Measures and Tooth Fairy. But regardless, like I said, if you're looking for a January movie to go see and you've already seen Avatar, this is something you could probably watch and pretty much enjoy. There are a few bits for it. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's definitely a lot of fun. It has some good world building and good acting. Go see it.